Well, how you feeling? Pretty short break going tomorrow. How are the boys shaping up?
Yeah, look, we're looking forward to it. We've prepared ourselves for shorter breaks through the pre-season and also through the post-COVID shutdown. We put our guys on a 4-day cycle, so they're pulled up well, they're ready to go, and they're looking forward to the challenge.
Do you expect many changes to the team, or should we be expecting many tonight?
Yeah, well, there won't be many changes. Where we said we're not going to manage our players, but we're certainly not going to be reckless. And one of those decisions is not to play Harley Bennell. He won't be selected; he'll be managed this week. Harley's done an incredible job to get his body to a position where he can play consistent AFL footy. But we just thought with a 4-day break at this stage, we didn't want to put that at risk, and it wasn't a risk that we wanted to take. So Harley won't play, and he'll be the only player that'll be managed in that space.
How far away is Vandenberg, his cheek injury? How's that? Can you give us an update on his tracking, please?
Yeah, so he had surgery, pretty soon after the game, and obviously missed last week. He'll miss again tomorrow night, but he'll be available for the game after. So he's progressing well. He's back running. He's back joining in ball work, and he'll be another player that we'll have available next week.
Tom McDonald, is there a chance to come back into the side this week? Would he? I know he hit 4 in the scratchy over the weekend.
Yeah, well, he's a chance. We're pretty happy with how the balance of the team's looking, and we're pretty comfortable with where we're sitting in terms of how we're playing. Clearly, we didn't get the result, but Tommy performed well. It's really the decision between whether we play the two tools with Jackson Wiedemann or we put a third in there as well. So that's the decision we'll make after training this afternoon. But Tom pushed his case really strongly last week, and I thought he performed really strongly. So it gives us some options and something really to discuss.
Just on Angus Brayshaw, Simon, there was a bit made on the weekend. He only played, I think, 60-odd% game time. Is there anything up with him fitness-wise, or what's the thinking behind that?
Oh, look, it's a subject I'm sick of talking about. He had 79, 77, 82 in the 3 previous weeks. He got stuck on the bench a couple of times in a rotation. There weren't many goals scored in the game. So it's a non-topic for me and something we should all move on from.
Does that suggest that he's not in his selection trouble? He's going to play this week? I know you don't want to talk about it, but does that mean he's going to keep his place in the team?
Angus?
Yes.
Yeah, no, Angus will be playing. He's a really good player. He obviously had a quiet game last week, but his form leading up to that, he's been solid and probably hasn't quite been at his best, but we'll get a response out of Angus and he'll be back to his best very soon.
Simon, Tom Brady, had your opportunity, obviously, particularly in the third term last week. I know everyone makes mistakes. I make mistakes every day, but how did you go about addressing that with, say, for example, Harley in front of goal and also Wiedemann? I mean, you had your chances and sort of missed it. What do you do this week to change things?
We just continue to work on our execution. We're playing a better brand of footy. We're playing a more consistent style. We're starting to play the right way in terms of getting the ball in our half and locking it in. And we're going to continue to create those opportunities. And for us as a footy club, we've got to take them. I know Sam works incredibly hard in his goal kicking, and we know Harley Bennell is a good finisher in front of goal traditionally. So, the good teams take their opportunities when they're there, and that's the difference between winning games of footy against the best teams and going down by 4 points. So, we play a very good team in Port Adelaide this week. Very similar style to Brisbane, very contested, very good at playing forward half footy. So it'll be a similar challenge for us, and we've got to make sure we maximise the time that we have when we've got the ball in our half of the ground.
And Simon, just on the ruck work, obviously you've got one of the best ruckmen in the game in Max Gawn, but last week the Brisbane midfielders got pretty coolly about getting the tap downs from him. What have the midfield done to perhaps adjust in that regard this week? Yeah,
look, we've spent a lot of time on that in the last couple of days. With our mids, we've spent some time reviewing how it took place and how we can build that better connection. It's been really strong, but last week there's no doubt Brisbane got the better of us through the midfield and through stoppage and clearance. So there's been a clear focus for us, and the mids have really owned it, and they want to build that connection back to the level that we need as a footy club, and we're looking forward to seeing that tomorrow night.
just on the forward line, Simon, you mentioned before that Tom McDonald will potentially give you some options. Do you think you can you fit all of them in, all of those tools, if you've got Luke Jackson there and Sam Weedman as well? Can you play those in the same forward line, or you're pretty happy with the mix that you had over the weekend in terms of the two tools with Max?
I think we're pretty happy with the way the two tools are functioning, but I'm certainly not saying we can't operate with three either. It's something that we've never looked at, and they're all a slightly different type of tool. So, at some stage we'll look at it. Whether it's this week, we'll wait and see. But I've got no doubt that it's potentially an opportunity to look at it at some stage, and you never know. When you trial things and you test and learn, sometimes you find something that really suits your footy club, and we've got some assets there that we want to maximise, and that's one of them that would like to try at some stage.
Clearly, this is a very unusual season. You've been having some mix-and match sort of practice matches, scratch matches. Do you have preferences to how the second tier should look going forward?
Oh, look, I think the second tier is a really important element of our game, and it really does come down to list sizes and what the actual AFL list will be. But I think a combination of a second tier competition that has VFL plus the TAC Cup involved in some sort of combined competition, I think that would make sense to me in terms of creating great opportunities for the young players, but also creating opportunities for draftees at an older age as well. And I think if we can make the second tier competition thrive and be the second best competition in the land, I think that's only going to help the AFL system and give lots of players opportunities to prove themselves to recruiters and list managers.
Simon, how is the hub life going? There's 400, the travelling party 400 due up in Queensland tomorrow to support the players. So how important is that for the players? Yeah, the players are looking forward to that, and that applies to. And have you had a discussion about the rules around that? Like, you address that as coach?
Yeah, we do. We catch up weekly, with our hub meeting, with all our families and go through the protocols around what's expected, and everyone's really bought into that. And to be frank, the Melbourne Footy Club, we got our families up. A lot of our players, partners, and kids on the first flight. We'll have another group that'll join us again on Friday to make that bigger. And it's really important. It's great to have the families around. It's important for everyone's well-being and making sure people are comfortable. And it's a long time away from home, and a lot of people are going to have a lot of mixed emotions about being away from home and some of the challenges that not only some of our families and parents are going through in Victoria and other places. And also the supporters, but to have our families up here and close to us, and really buying into our culture and spending some time, it's a terrific experience. For some of the kids like Nathan Jones's kids or Neville Jetta's kids, this is something they'll never forget for the rest of their lives, spending 10 or 12 weeks away with an AFL team. So, when there's, you talk about hub life and what it's like, I think it's going to be a terrific experience for some of those kids, moving forward in life.
Simon, can you give us a few thoughts on Port Adelaide? Is this the toughest test you'll have this season so far?
As I said, they're a very similar side to Brisbane. They're up the top of the ladder for a reason. They play a very contested style of footy, and they lock the ball in their half really well. And there's probably not one phase of their game that they're weak at. They're strong in all phases, and they play a style that the exact same style that we like to play. So. They're up the right end of the ladder, so we're under no illusions of the challenge they have. They have a very dynamic, midfield with a lot of guys that work their way through the midfield, and they have a very talented forward half of the ground.